This is Fitness Blender's upper body mass workout. For this mass building routine, we're going to be going through 3 rounds of 8 different exercises. For this workout routine, you're going to need a pull-up bar or straps, a chair or bench, an optional physio ball, and an optional suspension trainer or homemade straps. Let's go ahead and get started with round number 1. Our first exercise is going to be an advanced version of a single leg push-up. We're going to be doing 10 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Get those feet really nice and wide apart. You want that right leg up off the ground, pressing all that weight into that right hand. As you push up, try to lift that left hand off the ground as much as you can, so you're basically trying to do a one-armed push-up. Try to keep those hips and those shoulders as level as possible the entire time. Try not to let them twist. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides, so bring that left leg up off the ground. That right arm's going to be the one that you're trying to lift up off the ground as best you can. So try to get as much range of motion out of that left arm with that push-up motion without actually letting that right hand touch the ground. Just got a few more repetitions to go. And go ahead and let it relax. All right, next one is a supine push-up. We're doing this with a full extension. So those arms are out completely straight. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Kind of hunch those shoulders in just a little bit and then press all of your weight into the back of that hand, lifting that chest up, trying to hinge only from your hip and not from your lower back. So you want to try to keep your lower back off the ground as best you can the entire time. Makes it a lot harder that way. Just a few more repetitions through. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Go ahead and stand up, grab those pull-up bars or those pull-up straps. Doing our pull-ups next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Nice, slow, fluid controlled motion. Try to get a full range of motion. That arm should be completely straight down at the bottom. And you're trying to get that shoulder all the way up to that hand at the very top. Really nice tight squeeze. Try to get a nice, slow, controlled motion. Trying to get as much range of motion out of it without swinging. Try not to kick those legs. Try not to pop up really quickly or drop really quickly. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. And next one is the Pike push-up. So grab that bench or that chair. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Stepping up in that bench or that chair. Those hands are directly underneath those shoulders. Try to keep a nice straight line from your hip down to your wrist. Nice and slow. Drop it as low as you can. And then press it right back up. If you want to, you can put something underneath your hands to give you a little bit more range of motion out of this. Otherwise, just try to get your head all the way down and touch the ground. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Really trying to keep all that weight up on those shoulders. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. All right, next one is the hanging rows. You can do this one with either straps just like this, or you can do it with a pull-up bar if you can move it down in the door jamb. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You want a nice straight line through your body, keeping those hips up nice and high through the entire range of motion. Don't let them drop, even at the bottom. So you want to do a nice underhand row, pulling that bar all the way to your chest, trying to get as close to that rib cage as you possibly can. And then nice and slow, letting it relax all the way back down to a full extension, letting those shoulders droop forward a little bit, then squeezing them back as you pull back up towards that bar. You have 2 more repetitions. Nice tight squeeze on that last one, pull it up, and let it relax all the way back down. All right, next one is a tricep dip. Now you can do this one just your feet on the floor or use a physio ball for this one if you want a little harder version. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Get those feet up on that ball for the harder version, otherwise just completely extend it out on the floor. Make sure those hands are right next to those hips as close as you can. You don't want them kicked out to the side. Keep those elbows facing straight back behind you as you dip down as low as is comfortable. At least trying to get that elbow to shoulder height, and then nice and slow, press it right back up again. Now this ball is going to make it a lot more difficult for balance. Those legs are going to want to swing left to right, so those core muscles and also those shoulders are going to have to do a lot more work. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. And this one is a bar pull-down extension. This one's done with straps and a bar. Otherwise, it can be done on the ground with a physio ball. Get ready. And begin. Then you want to stand forward, leaning against that bar with just a little bit of an angle. Those hands you want just about shoulder width apart, and you want those arms locked out almost completely straight, just a little bit of a bend in that elbow. Now nice and slow, using those lats for control, you're going to extend those arms out in front of you. Try to get them almost completely in line with that body. If you can, get a perfectly straight line from wrist all the way down to your ankle. Then nice and slow, use those lats to press down with those hands, pulling that bar back underneath your chest. Now this can be done with a physio ball as well. It's basically the same motion. The only difference is that ball is obviously an unstable surface, so it's a lot harder to control that balance. And also, the lower you are to the ground, the more leverage you're going to have to work against, so it's more difficult as far as strength is concerned as well. There's your last repetition right here. Nice and slow out one more time. Pull it back in, and let it relax. All right, this is our last one for this round. This is the side push-up, so down on the ground for this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're on that left side with that right hand up next to that shoulder, fingers facing up towards that head. You're going to press into the ground with the palm of that hand on that right hand, trying to shove that chest and shoulder up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Now you want to hinge just on that hip for this version. If you want it to be harder, try to come all the way up onto those knees. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides, do the same thing on the other side. And begin. Pushing in with that left hand this time, laying on that right side. Keeping that right arm up out of the way. Pressing in with that left hand. Pushing straight across your chest, trying to get a nice tight squeeze on the center line of that chest, especially is what you're working here. Just focus on trying to get as much range of motion out of that arm as you possibly can. Alright, that was the end of round number 1. Go ahead and pause it here, otherwise we're moving right back into round number 2. Let's start again with that single leg push-up. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Lift that right leg up off the ground. That left hand's going to come up off the ground as much as you possibly can as you press into that right hand. All that weight should be in that right arm. Remember, try to keep those hips and shoulders as parallel to the ground as you can. Try not to let them rotate. Almost done. And let it relax right there. Go ahead and switch those legs. Left leg comes up this time. Trying to lift that right arm off the ground. Two more repetitions. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to flip you over onto your back for the supine push-ups. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, pressing all that weight into the back of your hand, trying to lift that chest up as high as possible. Try to hinge only from those hips, trying to let that lower back touch the ground. Keeping those feet in as close to those hips as possible for the hardest version. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow under control, nice tight squeeze each time. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Go ahead and stand up, grab those pull-up bars, those pull-up straps. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Nice slow pull, straight up as high as you can. Back down to a full extension every single time. Try not to swing. Try to keep a nice steady pace using as little momentum as possible. Just 2 more repetitions. And let it relax. All right, next one, that pike push-up, that overhead press. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Those feet up on that chair, that bench. You want to drop down nice and slow. Keep a straight line from your hip to your wrist. Nice and slow down to the ground. Trying to touch that head all the way to the ground. And then press it right back up through the palm of that hand. Getting a full extension on those arms every single time. Just watch those shoulders. You don't want to let those shoulders hunch up towards those ears. You want to try to keep them pulled down on your back as much as you can while doing this motion. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. And we're going to move on to the hanging rows. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Bring those hips up off the ground. Get a nice straight line from shoulder to ankle. And then that nice low row pulling up to your chest, up to that rib cage. Nice tight squeeze every single time. And remember, as you drop down, let those shoulders kind of droop forward a little bit, let them stretch. Then squeeze them back behind you as you pull back up towards that bar. You want to try to get as much range of motion through that shoulder as you can. It's not just an arm motion. You want to try to get those shoulders to rock forward and then squeeze back as you pull up. Almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Next one is going to be the tricep dips, either on that physio ball with those legs completely extended out straight on the ground. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Feet up on that ball, hands nice and close to those hips back behind you. Squeezing those elbows back as close together as you can the entire time. Get a nice low dip every single time, trying to get those shoulders down to at least elbow height. Then nice and slow, press them right back up to a full extension. Watch those shoulders. You're going to start trying to creep up on you. Those shoulders are going to try to push up into those ears. Try to keep them pulled down on your back the entire time. And there's your last one right there. And let it relax. All right, moving on to the next one. This is the bar pull down extension. Remember, you can do this with either those suspension straps or a physio ball if you have that handy. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Nice slow fluid extension. Keep those arms nice and straight. Extend out as far as is comfortable. Don't let those hips drop. You want to keep a nice straight line from your shoulder all the way down to your ankle the entire time. Now the goal is to try to get a full extension out so you actually have a straight line from your wrist all the way down to that ankle, but it takes a lot of control to do that. If your abs aren't strong enough, you can actually hurt your back if you let it drop or droop in this one when you go out to that full extension. So you want to really focus on keeping those abdominal muscles contracted really nice and tight so you have just a little bit of a round in that back. You don't want it to be perfectly flat, and you definitely don't want it to droop or dip down. You want to have just a little bit of a round. So keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Keep those abs tensed really tight the entire time. There's your last repetition right here. Try to get that full extension all the way out, then slowly pull back in and let it relax. All right, next one is that side push-up. We're starting on that left side, using that right hand for the motion. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Press into the ground with that right hand, lifting those shoulders up off the ground as high as possible. Remember, trying to hinge from that hip. Now, if you want to make it harder, you can always hinge from those knees, so put those legs out completely straight. Tuck those feet back behind you, and coming up just onto that knee instead of that hip makes it much more difficult. And that was your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides. So flip over to that right side using that left hand for the motion this time. And begin. Nice slow press into that palm of that left hand, pulling those shoulders up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Get a nice full extension, shoving that arm straight across your chest. Almost done. And here's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and pause it here if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to start right back into that last round, round number 3. I'm going to start back over with those single leg push-ups. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Bring that right leg up off the ground. All that weight should shift into that right hand. Now, as you press up away from the ground, try to lift that left hand off the ground as much as you can, basically turning this into a single arm push-up. Now try to keep that balance as best you can. Just a nice, slow, fluid motion. Almost done. It's your last one. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch legs so that left leg comes up off the ground this time, trying to pull that right hand off the ground. Almost done. Just a couple more repetitions. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to flip you over into your back for those supine push-ups. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Pressing all that weight into the back of that hand, shoving that chest up towards the ceiling as high as you can. Try not to use those abdominal muscles. Keep those feet tucked in nice and close to your butt to make it a little bit more intense on just those shoulders. Almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. All right, stand up. Grab those pull-up straps, that pull-up bar. We're doing those pull-ups next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, nice slow fluid motion, not a fast motion. You want just a nice controlled squeeze coming up nice and high, trying to get that shoulder up as close to that hand as you can. Try not to swing those legs. Try not to get any momentum into this motion. It's just a nice dead pull, then nice and slow, relaxing back down to a full extension. Almost done. And go ahead and let that one relax. All right, moving on to the next one. This is the Pike push-up. So grab that bench or that chair. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. With those feet up on that chair, on that bench, nice and slow, drop it down towards the ground and then press it right back up, trying to keep a nice straight line through that back from that hip all the way down to that wrist. So try to keep that chest pressed back down towards that chair or that bench. As those shoulders get tired, it's going to start trying to lean forward away from you just a little bit. So you're actually going to get more of an angled push-up. So try to keep that chest down. And there's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, next one is the hanging row. Go ahead and grab that bar and those straps. Otherwise, you can use that chin-up bar if you can adjust it further down in that door frame. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Pull those hips up nice and high. Keep a nice straight line from shoulder all the way down to that ankle. Now pull those hands in nice and close all the way to the base of that rib cage. That nice low row. Squeezing those elbows back behind you as tight as you can. Remember, let those shoulders droop forward at the bottom of that range of motion. Then squeeze those shoulders back behind you as tight as you can as you come back up to the top. You have 2 more repetitions. And your last one, nice tight squeeze. And let it relax. All right, next one is that tricep dip. Remember, you can do this with those feet up on the ball for the harder version, or just feet flat on the ground for the easier version. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Feet up on top of that ball, hands on that bench. Try to keep those hands back behind you next to those hips as tight as you can, squeezing those elbows together the entire time. Keep those shoulders pulled down away from you as you go down as low as you can. Shoulder down about elbow level and then press it right back up nice and high. Tight squeeze at the top each time. Almost done. Just a few more repetitions. And there's your last one right there. And let it relax. All right, next one's that bar pull down extension. Remember, you can either use the straps in the bar for this one or that physio ball. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, nice slow extension out with those arms. Keep those abs tense nice and tight. Slowly extending those arms, trying to get a nice straight line from your wrist all the way down to that ankle. And then using those lats to pull that bar back down underneath those shoulders. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Just really focusing on trying to make sure that back stays just a little bit rounded and those abs are perfectly tensed. Just 2 more repetitions. Keep it under control. Nice slow fluid motion out as far as you can control. And there's your last one right there. Pull it back in and let it relax. All right, move back down on the ground. We're doing that side push-up next. Laying on that left side first, using that right hand to do the push-up. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Pressing into that right hand, pulling those shoulders up off the ground as high as you possibly can. Remember, hinging off of that hip. If you want to make it harder, you can hinge off those knees, but it makes it quite a bit harder. Just try to do the motion as best you can, pressing that arm straight across your chest. Nice tight squeeze in the center line of that chest. Almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Go ahead and switch sides onto that right side, doing the same motion, this time pressing with that left hand. And go ahead and begin. Pushing all that weight into the palm of that left hand, pressing those shoulders up away from the ground as high as you possibly can. Get a nice tight squeeze across that chest. Remember, hinging on that hip or that harder version off of those knees. Almost done. And there's your last repetition right there. And let it relax. All right, you just completed Fitness Blender's upper body mass workout. Now go to fitnessblender.com to find out more about this routine and find more free full-length workout videos.